You probably missed this hilarious story of relatively obscure Japanese game publisher Gungho Online Entertainment getting roasted for their performance for the past 10 years. I almost missed it myself, but I'm so happy I didn't. Coming from Automaton Media with the headline, "All you've done is waste $600 million," this story stems from investment advisor Strategic Capital submitting a manifesto of sorts for Gungho to up its game. One of the main sticking points of this 32-slide PowerPoint dissection is the pay of Gungho CEO's Kazuki Morishita, a name you almost certainly do not recognize. This man you've never heard of, running a game publisher you've probably never heard of, is being paid more than the CEO of Square Enix, Sony, Capcom, Konami, Bandai Namco, all companies you have definitely heard of. He's only being paid $130,000 less than the CEO of Nintendo, all while making 1/10 the profit of Nintendo. There's graph after graph, point after point, highlighting just how bad Strategic Capital thinks Gungho is doing. And while those graphs are great and all, lines like this stand out as the real takeaway. They say, in his president's message, Morishita talks about challenge and creation, and aiming to become the world's #1 entertainment company. Over the past 10 years, only Morishita's salary has continued to challenge and create. Brutal. Having looked through this proposal with my own layman eyes, I actually see a different story than the one Strategic Capital is putting forward. Strategic Capital, on behalf of the shareholders of Gungho, is asserting that since Puzzle & Dragons, they haven't had a hit game. You've probably never heard of Puzzles & Dragons. I certainly didn't. Turns out though, it was the first mobile game in history to gross $1 billion in revenue. Obviously going on to make much more than that. So in the 13 years since Puzzle & Dragons, they have spent an estimated $600 million in developing other games, none of which have paid off. But they are sitting on a pile of money they have made from Puzzle & Dragons. They are safe. They are content. They are risk averse. All things that Strategic Capital, an investment advisor, hates to see. It's well reported that Nintendo is a cash-rich company, and that's how they were able to survive a failure of a generation in the Wii U. Though Nintendo does take their money and eventually put it into projects that can pay off big, like say the Nintendo Switch, they don't just accept the Wii U as their new standard. Instead, they put more effort into climbing out of the hole. Gungho is decorating the hole like it's their Animal Crossing house. They are comfortable down there, getting paid way too well, taking small risks, and nothing to the extent of launching a new console with huge investment into first-party software. Instead, in 2025, we see them attached to two smaller, but actually really exciting projects, Luna Remastered Collection and Trails in the Sky First Chapter. I think fans of JRPGs will look at these two projects and feel pretty good. I think Gungho looks at these two projects and feels pretty good. I think Strategic Capital looks at these two projects and asks, why aren't they Puzzle & Dragons 2? Gungho is chilling, like so many of us, not chasing a never-ending sense of ambition, that grind set mindset, but content with making smaller bets while resting on the laurels of their past successes. They almost seem like an indie game maker like Stardew Valley or Hollow Knight, just coasting on a single IP, getting the most out of it, and then taking the time they've earned before making the next thing, and only doing so when they want to. It's an envious position to be in, both financially and creatively. Problem is though, Gungho is a public company with a responsibility to their shareholders, a responsibility to do the opposite of everything they are doing. To see the usual and probably appropriate response to a less than satisfactory performance, look at fellow Japanese games publisher Marvelous known for Story of Seasons and Rune Factory, also from Automaton Media, comes the story of how Marvelous is changing leadership and cutting executive pay. This comes after a 4.8% decline in sales and a 12.4% drop in net profit compared to last year. Shareholders want to see something change if their expectations aren't met. GigaChad Gungho CEO says, "Fuck it, pay me more." Virgin Marvelous CEO says he'll be stepping down and I'll be replaced. It's not like the pay cuts will offset the losses. They need some of those good old-fashioned layoffs to balance those books. It doesn't really matter to the profit margin that Gungho CEO is being paid basically the same as Nintendo. It just looks bad. Looking bad or looking good won't make great games that make a lot of money. Looking at the right games and choosing to invest in them will move things in the right direction. Marvelous has Rune Factory, Guardians of Azum coming up in 2025. Gungho has Lunar Remastered Collection and Trails in the Sky First Chapter in 2025. I know where I'll be investing my time. What about you? Please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching and/or listening.